Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden, and this guy right next to me, this is Tim, and this is Second Legacy, and thank you for stopping by. Today, to start off this week, oh, my beautiful people, we've got some Trump promises that are coming out of the woodwork. It turns out Biden is actually worse for gun violence than the gun controllers would tell us, and Trump, by the way. And then we are doing our episode backwards. We're starting with a salad at the end with Kamala Harris. Word salad is on the menu, and Tim, I know you're excited. I know you are. I see it already.
I know. I've been working on my Venn diagrams all morning.
Oh, you're so ready.
Practicing my cackle.
That's good. That's really good. You did practice. Yeah. You were like all warmed up and everything.
I'm ready to go, man.
All right. Well, we're going to save that for later because this is good. I'm so excited. But we're going to start off with, this Monday morning when we're filming. You're probably going to see this on Tuesday morning. But we're going to start off with some of the Trumpy Trump, because he made some promises, Tim. He did in an NRA segment show. I'm excited to get your thoughts on this, but let's dive in. Dr. Button Pusher, are you alive and well this Monday morning?
I love Venn diagrams. Okay.
All right. He's ready. He's ready for the end too. Looks like both of you guys are really excited for the end, but we got to get to the first part, our main entree, the Trump. This is going to be the greatest segment that's ever existed, Tim, ever in the history of life. It's going to be the greatest right now. Listen to this. This is number one. I can't do that the whole time. Trump vows to undo the Biden gun restrictions if reelected. There's so much to break down right
does
here,
he
Tim.
now?
He does. He does. He did. He said it on stage, so you know it's true.
Now, I just got to warn people right now. I was a party to the lawsuit suing the Trump administration for their actions on bump stocks, right? So I'm a little salty when it comes to Trump and gun stuff because he is not our friend. And then when I point this out, of course, all the Trump cultists fall into line and say, oh, what are you, a Democrat? No, I don't worship any politician. I'm just telling you that Trump says one thing and will do other things, just like so many other politicians. But anyway. Okay, let's get into this.
But not to jade this segment at all.
I know, man, but every time I see Trump at the NRA convention, Trump says this about gun control. I remember the Trump that banned bump stocks to executive fiat, which was then used, as I said it would be, to reuse that recipe for braces and everything else, which is exactly what happened. And this is the same clown that sat in his cabinet meeting and said, take the guns now, due process later. But let's go ahead. Come on. Trump vows to undo the Biden restrictions.
But to be fair, he did. Yeah, he did. But I'm glad you're not salty.
No, I held no grudges. Yeah. I'm sure he's 100% sincere when he says all these things. Okay.
Absolutely. That's what I'm thinking. But to be fair, though, and I've got to say this as the balance here. I'll be the sweet. You can be the salty right now. He did bring us the Supreme Court judges.
He absolutely did.
Which brought us the Bruin decision. I'm going to be honest.
I'm in no way saying I'm going to vote for Biden or whoever replaces him. I am not. Okay? I'll just tell you that right now.
Nice caveat.
What I am not going to do is pretend like Trump hasn't done the things Trump has done. I refuse to do that.
That's fair. I think it's fair and objective that we call out everything. I think that is fair both ways. Let's get it. Number 2, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. This is on the 9th, Tim, February 9th. Former President Donald Trump, the Republican frontrunner in the 2024 presidential race, said on Friday he had firmly protected gun rights while in the White House and vowed, if reelected, to undo all restrictions enacted by President Joe Biden. There's a lot there. There's a lot there. Specifically, he went into rescinding a rule curbing the sales of gun accessories known as pistol braces and other regulations put in place by the Biden administration. Of course, talking about gun frames and receivers, the ghost gun rule, pistol braces. So he says he's going to get rid of those. But again, that elephant in the room,
he caused all that.
He kind of did do it.
Yeah.
He kind of
had a hand in all that.
Were a thing. It was a little bit bad.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say it right now, Tim. I'm not going to line up and bash Trump. I'm not going to line up and completely go behind what he's done in the past. Objectively, this is my honest to God opinion. Mm-hmm. You have someone who has surrounded himself with XYZ people. I think that he does not know as much about the 2A as he proposes that he does. And he made some bad decisions. And then he also made some good decisions from a standpoint of the SCOTUS judges, but then also from an example of the executive bureaucratic. Not good.
Truly his justice appointments. Those alone validated his 2016 to 2020 presidency because of those appointments. We have the Bruin decision, and things like that. So no, I'm not saying that, this isn't about Trump bashing. This is about being honest about the man we're talking about here. Now, with what's just been said in this particular piece that you just read off, I don't doubt, because Trump is a very vindictive, angry person. If you don't believe me, follow him on, you can't follow him on Twitter anymore, but jump on over to his own little platform there, whatever it's called, Truth Social.
Truth.
But he would more than likely undo these things if he can, just to spite the Democrats. So I do think he might do it for that reason, right? I don't think he'd do it because he loves the 2A, but he might very well do it because he just wants to stick his thumb in their eye. And I'll take that.
So I was about to ask that. So the way we win here, Tim, I think you're onto something. God, you are a political maven, is what you are. So your thought here is you don't believe that that's where his mindset is for the pro 2A because he releasing the 2A. You think it's, well, Biden touched it, so I'm going to destroy it. I didn't like this house anyway. We're going to rebuild it. This will no longer be the White House. It is now the Gold House.
Yep.
Because Biden touched it.
Yep. And see,
but at the end of the day, did we win though?
But you don't know. But there's another thing going for him. So if he were to win this next election, he can't run again. So when you're put into that position, many times politicians will do things they wouldn't do in their first term, right? Because they're trying to play both sides or riding that fence because they want to keep as many votes as they can for that next term. Well, when you don't have a next term, you can just do whatever you want. And maybe that plays to our favor. It's so hard to predict, right? It truly is.
It is. Yeah, you can't predict it. I think objectively, here's what I think our role here is. I think we have to say what's happened in the past, give credit where credit's due, give criticism where criticism is due, and then look at what they're saying and let the people decide. But here's an example of some pretty extreme rhetoric, which if this were to happen, I'd be really down.
Right.
So this is number 3. Listen to this one. Quote, every single Biden attack on gun owners and manufacturers will be terminated my very first week back in office. Perhaps my first day, Trump said in a speech at the Great American Outdoor Show in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I cannot tell you how much I wanted to read that like Trump, by the way.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I would 100% back that. But what's so funny is he says in the first week and then perhaps my first day. And what's he getting beaten up on right now in the media for another stupid thing he said? His first day in office, he's going to become a dictator. He wants to be a dictator. It's a joke, people. He is not. It's like, but that's just it. Trump has no filter, and so he says these things. I mean, you and I get the fact that he's just cracking a joke, but then the left runs with it. See, he says you gotta believe him when he says he's going to be a dictator. He said for a day. It doesn't matter. He really wants to be. It's just like, wow. But yeah, I would take that.
It's like the Purge. Yeah, I would take that too.
Because
right? I mean, like,
remember his first 2016 election when he came into, dude, he hadn't even been sworn in yet, and he was out there, and this kind of impressed me, right? He wasn't even sworn in yet, and he was already meeting with business people to bring manufacturing back from overseas back to
that was
stateside.
really cool.
Yeah, I was like, okay, wow, I've never seen a presidential, he was the president-elect, do something like that. Most of the time you wait until you get into office before you start trying to negotiate deals. This man jumped right in. So, I mean, he may very well do this, So it's interesting to see. And again, I think what might save us on this one is just the fact he hates the Biden administration so much and the people behind it that he may actually do this for us just to stick his thumb in their eye. It'd be glorious.
I like that. I can see it now. I'm gonna put my best Trump on for this. Okay, you ready? Yep. You ready? Here we go. I'm going to do it on the first week. Who knows? Maybe even the first day. Turns out you never know. It'll be a busy day, but I might squeeze it in before lunch. In that gun violence office prevention, that's terrible. Kamala touched it. That's probably got something bad from that, so we're just going to do away with that. Oh, my goodness. The ghost guns. Who doesn't love Casper? Anyway, let's get this.
But I got to say one thing real quick. The problem with this is every time we get a new president, is this what we're going to have to go through? Like, one president just like runs out there like Biden and just uses his executive fiat and just wrecks everything. The next president comes in, undoes it all. 4 years later, the next president comes in and does it all again. 4 years later. I mean, this pendulum swinging radically right and left is driving us all nuts, is it not? I mean,
it is. It absolutely is. It's getting whiplash. Yeah. It is. I'm going to 6 billion undo executive orders. 4 years later, this is terrible. He touched it. Trash that.
For 4 years you have rights, and 4 years you don't. 4 years you do. 4 years you don't. You're like, geez,
it's whiplash. Yeah. But let's go into a 4 because we have to do it, Tim. Okay. We do have to do it. God, I love covering Trump. This is so much fun. So this is number 4. This is kind of the this one's a little odd. different world right here. Seeing conservative gun owners as critical to his re-election chances, Trump has continued to court them aggressively. He told the crowd on Friday that if he is re-elected, quote, no one will lay a finger on your firearms, and bragged about resisting pressure to implement gun restrictions during his term in the White House. During my 4 years, nothing happened, and there was great pressure on me having to do with guns. We did nothing. We didn't yield.
No,
Like,
right.
Yeah, I mean, a little. I mean, just a smidgen.
No,
Like,
I mean, it's,
just
but I
a
mean,
little
so
bit.
maybe he's not thinking a bump stock is a gun thing, right?
It's got to be. Well, I think that was the original problem, right? They were like, well, it's not even a gun. And the NRA said it wasn't,
That's
so
the
it's
key.
okay.
That's the key. The NRA came out immediately and said that they believe in their little joint statement that bump stocks were machine guns and should be treated as such. And the NRA did not support, illegal machine guns or machine guns. Marion Hammer came out and said the NRA never supported your right to own a machine gun. So I do think the NRA said, no, go ahead, go for that. We'll back you on that one. And so maybe that's how we got there. But it still doesn't fix the
I think that's
the
what
whole red
happened.
flag thing. Take the guns now, due process later. He never acted on it, but he said stupid on camera. And
But that was not cute. That was absolutely not cute. In fact, the second segment we're about to go into has a part of that same conference. So let me wrap this up with number 7. This part I think is interesting because I want you to focus on what they say here and then give me your immediate gut reaction. This is number 7, Doctor. In a statement released ahead of Trump's speech, John Feinblatt, president of Everytown for Gun Safety, said, quote, with Trump recently telling Americans to get over school shootings, we know what a second term would be like. The NRA would once again treat the White House like its clubhouse, and the bipartisan, life-saving progress we've made on gun safety will be in grave danger. Did that kind of slip a little bit and come out a little bit more like, oh no, all my toys? Or did that kind of off message there, John? What do you think?
it's John's an idiot. I don't.
Analysis.
Right. I can't take this guy seriously, and I can't take the organization seriously. And with him talking about, it's always about the children and school shootings and all this other stuff. But if you distill this down, because what these people are always going after is like, we just want, Kamala Harris says this, Biden says this, they all say this. We just want reasonable restrictions, like taking away anything that loads itself. Zombie knives. Oh wait, that's UK, but we'll get there.
That's UK. Yeah.
They are so disingenuous and they lie so much that all they can talk about is like, well, we're going to play to your emotions. If we get Trump back in there, it's the children they're going to pay the price with AR-15s that account for maybe less than 100 misuses a year in crime. But it doesn't matter. We got to do something. And it's just all this frantic hand waving and nonsense. And when I read this crud, it's just like, okay, sure, whatever. Oh, the life-saving progress we made with the most comprehensive gun control that's ever been done in 30 years, but we're not done yet. We still need more. It hasn't really done anything.
It's not.
I think it stopped 200 gun purchases. Maybe that's what we claimed last week. But hey, we've done these great things, but we're not done yet. And that's where this always goes. Like, we'll get this law passed, but hey, guys, look, you're still misbehaving. So now we got another one. Now we got another one. Now we got another one. John can
100%.
Get a pickle. Anyway, moving along.
I
brought a whole jar.
Reference.
I brought a whole jar of pickles. You can have a pickle.
You hate to see it, man. It sneaks up on you. It's nothing worse.
And I don't like the sweet pickle. I'm giving him the most bitter sour pickle I can find, Vlasic or whatever it is. Anyway, okay, go ahead.
Did you say flaccid?
Vlasic. Isn't that it's like an old pickle brand?
That was a Freudian slip.
Think there's like a stork.
No, I know.
They're supposed to be super crunchy. Anyway. Stop.
Yeah, no, I know. I was just okay. Sorry. All right. You're right. You're
dirty mind.
You're right.
Gutter off the rubble strip, straight into the gutter.
You're right.
And you know what you're going to find in the gutter? Kamala Harris. Never mind. Okay, sorry.
Low blow. Yeah. Well, we're going to move on now. That was a little treat at the end of segment 1 for the people. Well, Tim, we've been through a journey. We've seen the great Oz that is Trump. Oh, we're going to move that one to the back burner. Now we're going to move in to some straight up propaganda that turned out to backfire in a royal, spectacular, amazing way.
Looking forward to this one.
Tim, I'm sure you're familiar with the group Giffords.org. You've heard of them? You run across them in your travels?
Just a couple of times.
Yes. Well, it turns out that the Political Action Committee is in full swing, and they're putting out humdingers. Only problem is we're about to turn this out and destroy it. But here's the original, and then I'll show you the video. So this is about Donald Trump being a meanie pants, but over 100,000 Americans were killed in shootings under his watch. Remember that number, Tim, 100,000. Okay. So now let me show you the video that was linked under that. This is number 9, Doctor.
We have to keep the guns out of the hands of those that pose the threat. And this really includes background checks.
It's going to have to be you that brings the Republicans to the table on this, because right now the gun lobby would stop it in its tracks.
I like that responsibility, Chris. I really do. I think it's time.
Wayne LaPierre called and spoke to the president several times.
President Trump all over the map today. Even questioning his own moves.
President Trump appears potentially to be walking back his recent support for background checks.
Breaking tonight, the National Rifle Association says President Trump has told its top official universal background checks for potential gun purchasers are off the table.
That was powerful. That was powerful, Tim.
Yeah.
That was powerful. Absolutely. Just stunningly amazing. Because after all, Biden is the only one that has the guts to fight the gun lobby. Now, if he can only remember what the gun lobby is.
Yeah, because, he single-handedly passed the Clinton assault weapons ban. He likes to claim, I did it once and I'll do it again. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, he's out there
He also passed
telling
the crime
Gold
bill.
Star families that his son, Bo, died in combat in Iraq when he passed of brain cancer, and he's upsetting the Gold Star families. And
he's a good guy.
These
He's a
people,
good guy, that Biden.
I know.
These people indeed. Well, that was the stellar video put together for propaganda purposes. And I would just like to note, as a personal point, may I brag for a moment, Tim?
Sure.
This is a humble brag. Okay. They got 4,900 views on that on Twitter. I covered this on my channel, and I challenged my audience to 10x their impact. And we actually got to 49,000 within 24 hours. We did.
Them.
So we received one missile and we sent 10 back. So I'm proud of my people. And this is the stuff that we covered. So we basically took in the propaganda, and we're going to do it right now as well. And then we repackaged it, fixed a few of the miscalculations, and then we send it back, because it turns out that Biden is actually worse for gun violence from their terms than Trump was, Tim. You wouldn't believe it.
I know. Because, that
goodness.
That groundbreaking, most comprehensive gun control in 30 years has been so productive, Braden. It stopped 200 transfers.
Of 30 million purchases, 200 out of 30 million. Yeah. You're doing great.
Yeah.
We're doing great. We're doing good work. Well, Tim, you know how I and the Democrats and the media love them some GVA, Gun Violence Archive. So this is number 11. This is where they're from. And remember that number, 100,000 people died under Trump's.
Why didn't they just make it an evil $1 million?
Right, they should have. 1 million.
1 million acts of violence. Yeah, anyway, sorry. That was my really bad impersonation.
It was god-awful.
Yeah,
I'm going to be honest.
I just needed a white
I've never
furry
actually seen a
cat
worse
with a bald
Dr.
head,
Evil.
And that may have... Anyway, okay, let's go ahead.
And to do the voice right. But other than that, you nailed it. Yes. But other than all the characteristics, you nailed it. So this is the actual numbers that we've got. 12 here, number 12, Doctor, for the reference. We'll pull it up on screen while I'm going through these things. But this is a 10-year review from Gun Violence Archive, Tim. And after all, I did some math. I did some mathing, and Excel is my friend. So it turns out on number 13, let me just walk you through this a little bit and show you how Biden, in their propaganda, they expose some awkwardness here. This is homicides and suicides, okay? From the same chart I just showed you. So homicides plus suicides, which is what they consider gun violence in the United States. On the left column in the top, we have Trump for 4 years, Tim. Mm-hmm. And on the right, we have Biden for 3.
Right.
So Biden's
24 numbers aren't
year's
in
worth
yet.
of runway.
Right. We're right. 2 months in.
Yeah.
Yes. Not even 2 months.
Exactly.
Right.
Not even 2 months. Right. So we've got a whole nother year of Biden's numbers. So we're comparing apples and oranges, 4 years to Trump to 3 years to Biden. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, that difference between those 4 and 3 is 23,697 people. Well, the Biden average is 46,226 in 3 years. Trump's average was 40,594, and Biden is 12% higher in 3 years, and that's before we even get 2024 numbers.
Yeah, but hey, he's saving the world through that groundbreaking 30-year, oh my gosh, I can't believe we did it. Gun control that's saving lives and mostly children all across the nation.
Most of them.
Oh, maybe not.
Oh wait, it's 12% higher
Right.
when you look at all gun violence. This is weird, Tim. You know what? Maybe, as I said, maybe I missed something. Maybe there's something hidden in the numbers that we really need to dive into, because maybe it's not homicides and suicides. Maybe suicides are skewing the numbers, because they did say in that tweet shootings, right?
Oh, okay.
Well, the only problem though, I went ahead and I removed the suicides, and this is the next clip. This is number 14. So there's the same 4 and 3 years, and this is with suicides removed. Wow. So you still got another year to go here for the Bidester, and we are 18% higher.
Yeah, you're up 6%
on homicides
after you take out the suicides.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
So the Trump average was 16,000 and Biden's average was 20,000. I'll tell you what, if I was the gun controllers, I would stop putting things out like this, because people like you and I who can, just look at basic math.
They're basing, politicians are, I'm sorry, not basing, but betting on the fact that the electorate simply won't look into things. They just believe what they're told by the mainstream media or whatever rag they read.
That's kind of true.
They just absorb it and they parrot it as the truth. And it's evidence of that. Just jump on X and look at all the political comments that get posted.
That's true.
Nobody researches anything. They just repost stuff. Many times they're reposting stuff from parody sites, but they believe it as if it's true. And it's because folks like you go out there and actually do the numbers and then share it with other people that we can educate a few. But sadly, tens of millions of people aren't going to watch this video and get educated to the truth. They're just going to buy the narrative from their favorite politician that this gun control that Biden passed, the most comprehensive in 30 years, is saving lives, while Trump, we lost about 700 million people in a year. We're a nation of 330 million people. It's a joke, but it's just so crazy. I just wish.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, it is. It's so frustrating when people, and then I'm getting onto the rumble strip here, but then when you see these man on the street interviews and you see the questions that are asked of college students and stuff like that, you're talking about college students that don't even know who the founder of the country is. They couldn't tell you who the Speaker of the House is. They couldn't even name the 3 branches of government. They don't know anything other than the propaganda they're fed, which then they take that propaganda and go straight to the polling station and vote for whatever candidate the propaganda is pushing them towards.
Lenin, right? Founded the country in 1801.
Michael Lenin,
his vice president. Yeah, his vice president was
Vladimir
some guy
Stalin.
named Stalin. Stalin. Yeah. Man, we're on it, Tim.
Butchering all the names, right? Yeah,
it's so good. Yeah. It's so amazing. But you know what I like to think, Tim, and this is my little hopeful heart coming out right here, because Trump lost by 40,000 votes. According to the numbers, 40,000 votes nationwide. Our video got 50,000, and that's before this one. So maybe we're turning the tide. Maybe we'll be responsible for 4 more years of "it was the greatest thing that's ever existed." I love Trump so much. I love his verbiage. But I just wanted to share that with you. 12 and 18%. Isn't that crazy? Yep. Biden has more blood on his hands than Trump does, according to their own language.
No, impossible. The gun controllers are saving lives, mostly children's lives. Oh, you didn't break out the children.
Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
All right.
Oh, my God. I know where you're going.
I know. I better quit.
I know where you're going. You better quit. But you are correct, Tim. And for all fairness, if I look at the said chart I provided, that was children aged 0 to 11 killed in 2023 was 297. I know.
Twice that if you factor
anyway,
in
moving right
AR-15s.
along.
I'm just making things up, but go ahead. All right.
Yeah, exactly. If you carry the 4.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a job over at the Gun Violence Archives. It just add.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah, I just add a few zeros here and there and just make up random facts. And who knows? Maybe I can make a good living over there. Anyway, go ahead.
I bet you could. I bet you could do it. Well, you know who else makes amazing living? The word salad monster herself.
Oh, is it that time?
Harris, because it's that time, Tim.
Well,
it's that time. I have put this neatly and tucked deliciously in our show notes. Please, sir, you take the wheel, because Gun Grabbers is your baby.
Okay.
This is your thing.
Here we go.
You take the wheel.
Now, folks, there's 2 things. Watch this video very closely. Listen very carefully. Listen to the voice inflection. Listen to what she's saying and try to follow along, and then we'll have a conversation afterwards. Doc, if you could play number 15 for us.
I'm pointing to the direction of what I believe is the Capitol. And what needs to happen in terms of people who otherwise have evidenced themselves having a feckless quality to show some courage to reject the false notion that suggests you're either in favor of the Second Amendment or you want to take everyone's guns away, when in fact it's just reasonable. I support the Second Amendment, but it's reasonable to say we need an assault weapons ban. It's reasonable to say we need universal background checks, that we need red flag laws. It's reasonable to say that if you want to deal with violence in the community, you also got to understand it's not only about mass shooting situations, which are horrific, and it's about everyday gun violence.
Where was this recorded? Do you know what state?
No.
Because
Where?
I'm going to guess a southern state. Because y'all know, if you go over here and you take a look, I think the White House is over here. And if you kind of take a look at these these mass shootings, they're all horrible, y'all. Don't y'all know that? She is speaking with a southern accent.
In and out.
Yeah, well, it's fading in and out, but it's like, man, when politicians do that, it drives me nuts. Bill Clinton was the master of that. You know, I think even Hillary got busted doing that. Doing the southern.
Oh, no, she absolutely.
Yeah, I know she did. That's right. Maybe I'm thinking of her. She's like,
I ain't at all tired.
Yeah,
that one. Yeah. No, 100%. So you know what? I think there's two ways that we approach this first.
Okay.
Because this clip, there's so much here. I think that we hit the Second Amendment stuff on the second half. We'll do a rerun here in a second. But the first one, I think, is the nonverbals, the verbals, and then also the content and the physical body language that she was doing. Because I picked something up here. I'm going to run it by you. This is pure conjecture for the internet. She was exhibiting a lot of signs of someone who was drunk.
That I would agree with. She drunk or on something. Maybe she found the white powder in the White House. I mean, that would probably given her more energy. She was a little bit slurring her speech there.
She'd be all spicy.
Yeah, she had a 2 martini lunch maybe before the press conference.
Maybe,
but don't you know? It's like
you can't do it. You can't do that.
I don't know what relevance this is, but I'm pretty sure the White House is over there somewhere, and guns are bad. Right. I'm not saying we're going to take guns away. I'm just saying we want to take all the guns away that load themselves, and then we want to pass laws that we take away your Fifth Amendment rights, and we just take your stuff because a jilted X decides you shouldn't have guns anymore. But I love the Second Amendment.
You as a Valley girl is a thing. Dude, you as a Valley girl, Kamala Harris is a thing. I just let that go. But no, like seriously, she's shifting left and right, back and forth. She's squinting with her eyes barely open because she's like trying to focus. She's pointing in random directions, not knowing where the Capitol is or it isn't. She's slurring her speech. She's fading in and out of a Southern accent, and she's losing volume control.
Yeah.
And she can't deliver and stay on topic. Bro,
yeah,
I can't prove it, but those are all signs of the alcohol.
Yeah, that or she's just as
or something
mentally
else.
daft
It could be
as
anything.
Her boss,
there was so much lack of coordination there. That was aided. That wasn't natural.
Yeah, no, but she's such an odd person anyway. You watch her in interviews and stuff, and maybe she's just drunk all the time, or maybe she's just mentally deficient.
She pulled a Pelosi? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh, not the Pelosi.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should run it back one more time and then actually talk about the two-way stuff.
Okay.
I think that's fair, right? All right, let's do it again.
I'm pointing to the direction of what I believe is the Capitol. And what needs to happen in terms of people who otherwise have evidenced themselves having a feckless quality.
Look at those eyes.
Show some courage to reject the false notion that suggests you're either in favor of the Second Amendment or you want to take everyone's guns away, when in fact it's just reasonable. I support the Second Amendment, but it's reasonable to say we need an assault weapons ban. It's reasonable to say we need universal background checks, that we need red flag laws. It's reasonable to say that if you want to deal with violence in the community, you also got to understand it's not only about mass shooting situations, which are horrific, and it's about everyday gun violence.
All right, so
everyday.
This touches upon my butt rule, does it not?
It does.
It touches upon my butt rule. What is the butt rule? When a politician or anybody is speaking and they say something like, I support the Second Amendment, but you can disregard everything that came before the word but, and then you can just kind of focus on where they go after that, because that's what they're really thinking. I support the Second Amendment, but I want to take away anything that loads itself. I want to take away your Fifth Amendment rights. I want to just have the police kick in your door. I want people to, and to be able to make sure that your gun is locked up. We know what guns you have, where they're stored, when they're there, when they're not there, where you take them, who you are, what you buy. And then we want to put a tax on all of it. That's what you have to pay attention to. Ignore everything before the but.
Absolutely.
And then everything after the but is what they're really trying to do or thinking. Anyway.
No, I completely agree. I think it qualifies as touching your butt.
Yep. She touched my butt.
Rule. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Yeah,
nope,
but
she touched my butt.
Legitimately,
Yep.
She did. She touched your butt. So as you're going through this, a few things that stand out. Of course, the butt rule was absolutely applicable. Well played. They can't seem to resist that.
No.
But
but
the other piece is she goes down the very simple things she always says: AR bans or assault weapons bans, red flag laws. But something else that really struck me there is at the very end where she contrasts mass shootings, which are horrific, but then also everyday gun violence.
Yeah.
What expound upon that?
Yeah,
Kamala, what do you mean?
I'd be curious where the clip goes
gun
from
violence?
there. But yeah, everyday gun violence has nothing to do with your assault weapons, sweetie.
It's weird.
We have been doing, goofy gun grabber segments where we're showing the typical firearm taken off criminals out of New York City because they proudly post those junk guns on the internet. Those are the types of firearms being used in your everyday gun violence, and the everyday gun violence is typically inner city drug turf war gang violence. That's where the vast majority of these shootings come from. It isn't, Joe Bob, gunning his wife down at the dinner table. That's not what's happening here, right? So you kind of touched upon it, but they got to be very careful with that one, because while they think they have the political capital to take your AR-15 away, they know damn well they don't have the political capital to take your 1911 away, 2 world wars. So that's what they have to be very careful of. And I'm really surprised she went there, and I'd be curious to see where it goes after that, because she probably had to walk that one back.
Yeah. But that's the thing. They can't say their true intentions, which again goes to something that fuels me in this fight that I do every single day, is they are genuinely trying to cater and frame a message to a target demographic audience without saying the whole story, but just saying enough to get them to actually vote themselves out of their own rights. They are a bunch of wolves inviting a bunch of sheep to dinner and not telling them what's on the menu. And that right there is the part that's so disgusting to me, because these are rights. I mean, imagine this. I always say this, but imagine this from a First Amendment perspective. From a First Amendment perspective, if you say, well, everything is good, but your freedom of speech is not unlimited.
Right.
Like you can't criticize the dear leader. What kind of bad thing does that do for the national unity?
This is a Bill Clinton law that he discussed wanting passed back in his day. They wanted to make it illegal to negatively speak, the media, the mainstream media, negatively say anything negative about a political candidate leading up to a presidential election. You remember that?
Fairness doctrine.
Is that what it was called? So they basically said, hey, X number of months before an election, the mainstream media can't run these negative stories. And that's where their minds are.
How'd that go?
Right? I mean, but people got up in arms about that because of the First Amendment. You should be able to say whatever you want about any politician. That's a protected right. Right? And so, yeah, if you compare...
You know what else is protected?
What?
The second one.
Second one.
The gun.
Oh, guns? Guns are protected? No.
The one right after. Yes!
No, can't be.
They do. They are. Yep.
Nope. Don't believe it. Not
Every
for
day.
a second.
All the time.
Right.
All day. Every day.
Yep. Well, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. And, Kamala Harris, what a great way to end an episode, because she's just so much fun. She's just too easy.
Some roughage.
Yeah, she's just too easy to pick on. All right, get out of the gutter, because you're hanging out with Kamala. We'll talk to you guys soon.